You plan on being, you want to be
I'm
a house.
sorry.
I mean, you want, and here's the thing. I'm not a big, here's the thing. I'm just trying to give clarity. 3 children, each having a
Mhm.
car at 16 in college. To raise a child from 0 to 18 is $200,000 in this country. You're talking about tacking on an additional $50,000 to $70,000 in college bills. A man is going to have to make $300,000+, and I don't think a lot of you ladies get that. And I'm not trying. And what I'm trying to get you to understand is, if you want a man that makes that kind of money, what does he want? What kind of woman does he want?
He wants someone who's feminine, definitely. Someone who takes care of their body and who's easy to get along with.
Okay, that comes standard. So how tall are you?
I am about 5'7", 5'7.5".
Dress size?
My dress size is a 4.
Okay. How much did you weigh the last time you weighed yourself?
My last weigh-in, I think I was 170.
Okay. Ma'am, there is no way on God's green earth you are a dress size 4. I do this in real life at 170 pounds. And why is that important?
Well, I mean, I have them in the closet. I think it just depends
No,
on
ma'am. No,
where you
ma'am.
get them.
Again, no offense, but professional image consultant who does this in the real world, 5'7" women, 170 pounds, you weigh more than a man.
Well, I will honestly say the last dress that I bought, it was the size 4, and I got it
Well,
from them.
okay, ma'am, but again, you see what you just did there? I'm 51 years old and a professional in this. And instead of just saying, you're right, this, that, you're going to just, in your nice feminine voice, argue the point.
Yes, sir. You just found it. Intercourse with you. Let's chat.
Welcome to the Intercourse Show. I am your host, Mr. B. Today we have a very exciting reaction video for you from Kevin Samuels. He is discussing high-value men with a young woman who feels her education should help her secure a more financially stable man, I guess, that could provide a better sense of security for her. So, without any further ado, let's get right into the video.
You and I are just
Oh no,
talking.
I'm not.
Okay, let me go
All right, that
ahead.
sounds good.
What do you got for me? Let me go ahead and put my view up here so you can see me.
Okay, so um basic of the story is I'm 22 and I'm in nursing school.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in I graduate next December, and like I'm really trying to get serious about like dating more high value men, and I have met like one person that I would consider high value, but I'm not sure of like how to go about it because I'm 10 years, I'm 12 years younger than him. So I'm like trying to figure out what does he want from me? Like how do I kind of go about it?
How old is he? I mean, do you know if he's, do you, wait, first off, you got your eye on him.
Mhm. He has his eye on me. He came to he drove about 2 hours to come visit me at school.
Okay.
Just yeah, just someone like I've just like talked to and met. It's not someone like I went and chased down.
Okay, I need to be clear. You said that
Hmm.
you're in nursing school.
Hmm.
Hmm. We don't do the mm-hmm. We do yes or no.
Yes.
All right. And and he said he approached you how?
Via social media.
To do what? He approached you to date?
Yeah,
Yes.
just get to know each other.
Okay. To what end?
Um, See, he wasn't specific on that, and I didn't say anything. I was just trying to
Well,
kind of
see,
see like
that's
how
a
it plays
problem.
out.
He's 34, approaching a 22-year-old. Yes, not he's 34, approaching a 22-year-old with an
Yes.
undetermined goal. That's not good.
Okay.
He should know, and see, there's a lot of things wrong with this. One, 34-year-old man should not be approaching a 22-year-old woman without a plan. Number one. Number two, you should not be trying to figure out how to get on his plan. Where's your dad?
Me and my dad haven't spoken since I was 9.
Okay. Why?
Yeah. He was really abusive,
To whom?
and so to my mom and to me
Hold on.
when I was really young.
Let me hold on now. I gotta ask some questions here.
Mhm.
Abusive to you. See, this abuse.
Like physically abusive.
Okay.
Physically
Okay.
abusive.
All right.
Yes.
So again, due respect, I don't know. Do you have any siblings?
Yeah, I have a little brother.
And is he not?
I'm the oldest.
So did you mean abusive? I mean, you got a whooping or you got a broken arm?
No, it wasn't towards just, it was more like emotionally abusive towards me, but he was physically abusive towards my mom. So they
Okay, ma'am.
split.
I gotta be real with you. Your father's relationship with your mother has nothing to do with your father. He is your father. See, far too many of our women want to throw men away and then wonder why you don't know men.
I didn't throw him away. He
I
just never
said far
talked. We just
too many of okay. I said far too okay. Let me make it
Okay.
clear. Okay. You got some issues with
Yes, sir.
dad.
I know.
So you're not going to fix them on this call, and you're not going to act as though I don't know what I'm talking about. You need to get this square. You need to get your daddy issues in check before you deal with any men. And when I asked you
I've
about
tried
your
to like,
father, you're telling me about what he did with your mother, and that is not your concern. That was those two grown people. You said he was abusive, and I gotta tell you, what I'm expecting to hear is he broke my arm or broke my leg, and we had to be moved into protective custody. And that's not what I hear often from women. What I often hear from women is a child's point of view on what they saw between two adults, and you don't know. It's all it's coming down to. You don't know. And why is that relevant? Well, daddy issues end up having issues with men in general. Where's your father?
I don't know. Like we haven't talked in like 13 years. We haven't talked.
Okay.
I've wanted to reach out, and I've always wanted to like, kind of, I'm not trying to make this into like a daddy issues type of show, but I've tried my best to kind of reach out, but like every time it comes to family, I'm always discouraged.
By who?
To actually
the women.
My mom.
Exactly. Yeah. Parental alienation happens so often to women. See, I need you to listen to me. Okay. You're growing into your womanhood, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. We don't do mm-hmm.
Yes, sir. Yes.
All right. Have you had boyfriends in the past?
Yeah, I had one.
Are you a virgin?
No.
All right. So you understand that relationships can be complicated.
Yes.
You cannot judge your father based upon what you saw at 8 years old between him and your mother. And I can almost guarantee your mother has not really told you anything positive or endearing about your father. And when you say you want to reach out to him, it's discouraged. That's all kind of problems. Like it or not, he is the man your mother chose to reproduce with once or how many times? Twice? You got your brothers by your father?
Just once. My mom got remarried.
Is she still married?
Yeah, they're still married.
All right. And your stepfather said what about your dad?
My stepdad doesn't really talk about my dad. No one really talks about my dad. He's just like, he's like, it's almost like he's a ghost.
Well, the only problem is
No
that's
one
your
talks about
father. I don't really give a shit about anybody else. That's your father. And you need to understand who you got a whole half of you out there that you don't know. And there's a daddy size hole in your existence. This happens. So it makes sense now. 22, 34. Yeah, no. That's why I say therapy is so necessary with Black people. You don't need to be really worrying about relationships until you at least address these issues. And you're not
I
going to be
don't
able
want to like say,
Hmm?
I don't want to say like I haven't tried to like kind of address them, because I know I've always been extremely self-aware of like what's going on with
You
me
can't do it by
mentally and like
yourself. You need to, okay, I got to move on to another call. Let me just tell you this. You're too young. You don't know what's going on. This 34-year-old man, you got all these different things going on, ma'am. You need to address your issues, your father issues, your daddy issues with a licensed professional therapist. And you're not going to get any help with your mother, because I will tell you this, there are going to be things that'll come out that you might be really surprised and shocked to hear that your mother was culpable and your father may not have been as guilty. It is not healthy to sit back and tell you, you don't need to know your dad. You don't need to know anything about him. That's suspicious AF.
yes, sir. Thank you so much for talking with me.
You're welcome. And we
You
do
have a
this
good night.
often to our young girls. Let me ask this question. Who are love? You can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I am well. What do you have for me?
So, I just wanted to ask more about. I know the topic was why are women so mad at high value men? And from my observation, I've seen that a lot of people just don't understand the definition of high value, which I see you explain it every time on your show.
Mhm.
But I think that's really the major issue. People really don't know what high value is, and it's just a misunderstood concept.
Well, how old are you?
I am 25.
25. Do you own a car?
Do I own a car?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Did you purchase that car?
Yes.
What make and model is it?
It's a Jeep Patriot.
A Jeep Patriot.
Mhm.
It has a value, right?
Yes.
If you were going to go try to sell it, you could only sell it between this dollar value and that dollar value. Could you go sell a Jeep Patriot on the market today for $100,000 used?
No,
Because it's not what?
it's not worth the same
It's
amount.
not
It
that
depreciates.
valuable.
Right.
Versus if you decided you wanted to go sell a Bentley of the same year used, could you get $100,000 for it as long as there hadn't been any kind of wrecks or accidents?
Yes.
We understand value. We do understand value. We don't like to ascribe value to people because it's very cold. It's very real. You ever go into a nightclub before?
A nightclub? Yeah, I've been to a club before.
You ever see the VIP line where the young pretty girls get in for free?
Yes.
Have you ever been in that line? Or I mean, you know that line,
I have.
huh?
I have.
And then what about the women that weren't in that line?
They have attitudes and they're wondering why they're not getting in as
Hold on,
fast.
are they really wondering why, or did they know why?
They probably
There's no
know. I'm
probably,
sure they
man.
know.
There's no probably. They know.
Okay.
Tell me why you getting the VIP for free and they can't.
Because we're dressed up. So like when you go out, we're wearing dresses, we wear heels.
Okay, if you
So
look like Precious in heels and a dress, could you get in the VIP?
no.
Okay, so let's not play. At 25, I
It's the
treat you as a grown woman at 25. And at 25, you understand that you have to be of a certain looks value to get into this place for free. And if you don't, you stand in line and pay with the dudes.
right.
So what's not to understand? We get this. It's just harsh.
That makes sense.
Right. So, do you want to be married?
Yes.
Okay. Any kid? You want to have children?
I do not have children, but
No. Do you want to have children?
I definitely
Do you want to
want
have
to.
children? Is a question.
Yeah.
How many?
I would say 2 or 3.
Okay. Do you want to have to work to pay substantial bills or significant bills after you're pregnant?
No.
No. Okay. And what part of the country are you in? North, south, east, or west?
I'm in the South.
Okay. So if you're going to be a stay-at-home wife with 3 kids, how much money would a man have to make to have a wife stay at home with 3 kids to support an upper middle class lifestyle? How much would he need to make annually?
For North Carolina, I would say anywhere between 150 and 200,000.
What part of North Carolina are you in?
I am in like the Gibsonville area.
All right.
It's a really
When I
small.
say upper middle class, what I mean is, would you want all 3 of the children to be able to go to college if they wanted to?
Yes.
Okay. Would you want them to have to take out student loans, or would you want to be able to pay for it?
I would want to be able to pay for that.
All right. So when the kids each turn 16, let's say would you want them to have a car?
Yes.
Right. And I'm assuming you'd want that car to be clean, safe, reliable transportation.
Of course. Yes.
So you ain't gonna get there on no $150,000 a year with a family of 5. You're talking about a man who's making 300 some odd $1,000 plus, because college for 3 children. See, a lot of you young ladies don't really seem to understand how much money you're looking for a man to make.
Right. Well, I'm really thinking about like when I think of family planning, I look at like mutual funds, different things that you can invest in to prepare for college, not necessarily it coming completely out of pocket.
But
So,
ma'am,
but I definitely,
but that's still not something you plan on paying for. You plan on being, you want to be
I'm
a house.
sorry.
I mean, you want, and here's the thing. I'm not a big, here's the thing. I'm just trying to give clarity. 3 children, each having a car at 16 in college. To raise a child from 0 to 18 is $200,000 in this country. You're talking about tacking on an additional $50,000 to $70,000 in college bills. A man is going to have to make $300,000+, and I don't think a lot of you ladies get that. And I'm not trying, and what I'm trying to get you to understand is, if you want a man that makes that kind of money, what does he want? What kind of woman does he want?
He wants someone who's feminine, definitely, someone who takes care of their body and who's easy to get along with.
Okay, that comes standard. So how tall are you?
I am about 5'7", 5'7.5".
Dress size?
My dress size is a 4.
Okay. How much did you weigh the last time you weighed yourself?
My last weigh-in, I think I was 170.
Okay. Ma'am, there is no way on God's green earth you are a dress size 4. I do this in real life at 170 pounds. And why is that important?
Well, I mean, I have them in the closet. I think it just depends
No,
on
ma'am. No,
where you
ma'am.
get them.
Again, again, no offense, but professional image consultant who does this in the real world, 5'7" women, 170 pounds, you weigh more than a man.
Well, I will honestly say the last dress that I bought, it was a size 4, and I got it
Well,
from them.
okay, ma'am. But again, you see what you just did there? I'm 51 years old and a professional in this. And instead of just saying, you're right, this, that, you're going to just, in your nice feminine voice, argue the point. Why?
Okay. I'm not arguing,
Yeah, you are.
but
Yeah, you are. You are. You're telling me, well, you're wrong, sir. I do have a dress size 4. Let's move on. See, okay. Were you raised with mom and dad?
yes,
And your mother and father were married?
yes,
I can't hear you.
yes, they were married.
Are they still married?
My father passed away.
Okay. All right. Are you looking at YouTube or are you looking at me?
I'm looking at you.
Okay. Um, Sorry to hear that, but I'm gonna tell you that from what I'm hearing, you have a nice demeanor right now, but the man making the kind of money you're talking about making don't want women that are 170 pounds. The average height of an American man is 5'9.5". He weighs 168 pounds. Again, you weigh more than a man. And that is going to affect your mating options, your marriage options. Is this the first time you're hearing something like this?
No, I've been listening to you for a while,
Okay.
and I just started Burn Boot Camp like 3 weeks ago. So I know I took a long break with this quarantine. I should not have done that, but I'm definitely in the gym every day, at least Monday through Saturday.
Okay. But one of the things is we have to be honest is Black women have to stop. And I just got to say it, ma'am. Black women have to stop lying to themselves about their physical bodies. I know what a dress size 4 looks like. And I can tell just by the girth of your arms, you're like a 10. And you're too young to be this size. This is why it's going to be so. If have you ever weighed more than you weigh now?
No.
All right. Well, let me just be honest, ma'am. If I got to just be truthful, you're looking for an elite level man, and you're an average woman, and that's not an insult. Average shouldn't be an insult. Okay.
Mhm.
This whole notion about not working, you will be working. 72% of mothers in this country have to work full or part time. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, I've heard you say that before.
All right.
I went to school, so I don't have a problem with working. What I'm
You
saying
went to
is,
school,
after I the
college?
baby, I
You went to
do,
college?
yeah.
And your
Hmm.
degree is
So
in what?
I my degree, it's in social work.
Right. So you went to school. Do you have student loan debt?
Yes, I did.
So what you're telling me is you went to school to go into debt to at the end to go to work to when you find a husband, just say, now you pay all that debt. It was useless then. Why go to college and get into all that debt if you're not going to use it?
No, that's what I'm saying. I want to use my degree. So my plan is, of course, structured around family planning when I get ready to have a child, to just have money saved up so that I'm able to pay that debt off because
Pay that debt
I
off with
don't
whose
want to
money though?
with mine.
How? Ma'am, social work. You're not balling. You get married, get pregnant, you don't want to work anymore. There's no more money coming in from you. How are you going to pay off a debt? How's that work?
What I was saying was I wanted to plan for a family. So I'm planning on having money saved before I have the baby so that I'm able
Saving
to pay
who?
off
Okay, ma'am. Saving. Okay. Again, saving whose money?
saving my money,
How
Kevin.
much are you making right now?
Right now, I make about $2,000 a month.
Lady, you're broke. That's $24,000 a year. You have to be living at home with mama or something. Okay, reality check time. You have no plan. And if you do have a plan, it's a bad one. You don't really seem to understand what you're saying doesn't make any sense. And how much is your student loan debt?
It's substantial.
How much is your
I'm
student
at
loan debt?
about 100K.
$100,000 in student loan debt to be a social worker? Ain't nobody gonna marry that. So basically, what you're saying is you're 170 pound social worker with $100,000 in debt, and you expect somebody to marry you and allow you to stay at home and get what? Doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? You're gonna save
No,
up some
not when
money.
you.
How you saving any money? You got it. You're living paycheck to paycheck right now, right?
Well, honestly, no. But
Okay.
that's only because
Are you paying? Do you have? Are you in a? Do you live with somebody? You have your own place.
I have my own place.
How much is your rent?
My rent is like 750.
How much?
750.
Say again.
750.
$750 against a $2,000 a month income. These numbers don't add up, ma'am. You are living paycheck to
So
paycheck. Listen, young lady, you're living paycheck to paycheck. You make $2,000 a month and you got a $750 rent. You're not saving anything. Your plan at best would be I'm going to hold on until I could find a man who will pay my debts because you're not going to be able to afford to pay them with your income. And see, this is why women are mad at high value men because they won't take this. A high value man will come look at your situation and say, well, wait a minute. You weigh as much as a man. You got $100,000 in debt. You have low income skills. You don't want to have to really work. So it's all on me. Now, okay, let's say I decide to take that. What am I going to get? You're going to get a feminine woman. There are feminine women everywhere, ma'am, who are in great shape and lower debt. That's why I try to let a lot of black women realize You're upset with men that won't take this, and it's because you haven't even sat down and sharpened your own pencil and put pen to paper. It's all, well, fantasy. I will. I don't want to just quit work. I want to actually save money. So that means he has to pay the bills. You worked yourself into a pretty bad position.
I agree.
Well, and the way out of it is to stop digging and stop lying to yourself. Stop saying you were a dress size 4 when you know you were in a 10 or a 10 plus. Get a second or get a you need a better job. I don't know what job you're doing, but if it's paying you $2,000 a month, that's $12 an hour. Man, you can make more money at Circle K, Quick Trip, or Walmart. And $100,000 in debt. This is why women need men, because you shouldn't have even been allowed to get in this position.
Right.
I mean, how long ago did your father pass?
He passed away when I was 17.
So your mother allowed, no disrespect to your mother, but she allowed you to get into this debt for a useless degree. So when women say they don't need men, you need men for things like this: ration and reason, business. All right. I hope it works out for you, sis.
Okay, we just watched that Kevin Samuels clip where he interviewed roughly 2 guests. The first guest was a younger lady who called because she was seeking a high value man. And Kevin asked her some probing questions to kind of get a better sense of her situation, her background, to understand how best to advise her. In asking her some of those questions, it was discovered that, her father was missing in her life. Unfortunately, he was not there. He was not a part of their life, a part of her life. And her explanation for that was because there was some sort of domestic violence, abuse happening between the father and the mother. Now, in that scenario, Kevin proceeded to ask some more questions to see if there's been any efforts made on her part to connect and get her father's side of the story. And she said every single time she attempted to reach out to her father, it would be discouraged by the mother. Now, that apparently struck a red flag for Kevin because he thought to himself, the value of a father's presence in a young lady's life is, immeasurable, in part for some of these questions that she has. The fact that she was asking Kevin Samuel some of these questions about men highlights the fact that there wasn't a man in her life in a parental way providing her the insight that she needed so she can make the selection of the man that she ultimately wants to marry. And so Kevin proceeded to, ask probing questions about her relationship with her dad or lack thereof. And it was determined that, it just was non-existent. Now, this leads me to kind of address some factors that I think exist, especially in the Black community, about the presence of a father in a child's life. And there are instances where there are abuse. There are instances where there are drug use and a number of different things that makes it a hostile environment for that child to grow up in. So it makes sense for there to be some degree of separation. But I don't believe that that represents the majority of the situations or the majority of the experiences that people may face. I actually believe that there are times that, there's discord between a man and a woman within that relationship, whether it's due to money problems, jealousy, infidelity, adultery, dishonesty, greed, a number of other factors that causes people to break up. It leads to there being a divided household. And then there are incentives within our society, our westernized society, that, pretty much gives women an alternative to not having their man around, i.e., you could get certain social welfare services and things of that nature. And in those moments, women are more prone to walk away from their relationships because they're getting, some sort of supplemental income coming in from the government. And therefore now they are pressed to essentially part ways, and they have less incentives to stay in a relationship. Now, that doesn't always represent every case, but I do believe there's a sizable amount of cases where where that happens. This highlights the importance of he may be shocked by, her father's side of the story, and her mother may not necessarily be an angel on that version of the story. Now, again, shout out to the mother for the work that she did to kind of get, to raise the daughter. That's not to be discounted. And then it seems like she got remarried and had another stepfather, and the stepfather doesn't seem like he was really imparting some of that wisdom in her that she's seeking from Kevin. So it just highlights the fact that her actual biological father became an afterthought. And now when she's in a critical point in her life where she's seeking relationship with a man, it doesn't seem as if she has the guidance that would have been useful from her father to make that selection. And it just handicaps her in a way in terms of determining the right man to choose. It's a bigger conversation. I think we should definitely, as a community, look at this and analyze whether or not we serve our children by dividing our families, or, whether or not we took the proper measures to help our children's future by how we manage our relationships and whether or not we choose to stay in them. So that sort of symbolizes that first relationship, that first particular caller. My view is I definitely think that the young lady should make an effort to reach out to her father, to connect with him, because, he has a side of the story as well. And his story may make sense. And he may be a good source for her to seek counsel from. And it's never too late to, rectify a relationship that may have been underdeveloped in your past. So I would definitely recommend that she reaches out to her father and kind of get some insight to what type of man he was and what type of man, she should potentially look at marrying or connecting with or hooking up with or just being with in general. The second caller was slightly different. This was a younger lady who apparently had racked up $100,000 worth of educational loan debt, and she's seeking a high value man. And I think there were some issues with regards to her weight. She was, a bit overweight, but she represented it as if she was a size 4. Kevin Samuels took issues with that and essentially corrected her and said, look, don't insult my intelligence. I can tell as an image consultant that you are not a size 4. So he addressed that. But, the bigger point there that he was making is that sometimes women can tend to be a bit delusional, for lack of a better term, in the sense that they know the reality of this situation is not what they're representing, but they'll represent it anyway, despite the fact that that's not what it is. And, sometimes it's hard to speak the truth in love and to say, hey, what you're saying is not exactly what it is. Here's a way that we can approach it. If you want to be, smaller, you can go to the gym. There's a number of things you could take as measures to address what, you're clearly misrepresenting. Secondly, there was the matter of, the type of man that she was looking for, the type of job that she had, the expectations that she had. I think there was a point about useless debts. Is it wise for women to rack up, thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of educational debt, and then to expect a man to come in to kind of really sustain her when the debt she racked up will never really be recouped, in part because the person is not getting a job that pays her a salary high enough to pay down that debt. And so it ends up being a shared debt once someone marries her. And he was pointing out that a lot of men are starting to do the calculations and saying, well, if you're not even, catering to what I desire, which is a fit woman, you're overweight, you're not really meeting that need for me. And at the same time, there's other factors here, like you have high debt, your expectations may be high with regards to, what I'm supposed to do or what you think I'm supposed to do within the relationship. Then, maybe you're not the best selection for me as a potential mate. Now, it's a little controversial, but I think any parent who has male children who are in that predicament would advise their male child the same way. Be selective with who you choose. Don't choose someone that doesn't make sense for you. Don't choose someone that essentially sets you back, right? Most parents would advise that of their sons, but it's harder to say that when you're dealing with a young lady who expects a young man to step in and just kind of overlook those factors. Now, most of the time, people don't get in relationships and simply calculate the cost of the partner they're taking on. A lot of times people just, feel the vibes and they connect with someone. And based on that connection, they jump blindly into a relationship. And I think what he's trying to point out is that men should be more wary of the type of relationships they take on. And women should be more mindful of the optics and a bit more calculated in terms of how they approach relationships. First, they need to understand what a man wants and what he values. Secondly, they need to understand their circumstances and how that may look to a man. And then they need to take measures to address, some of those things. And then thirdly, they need to be proactive. Be proactive in determining what career field you go into. Be proactive in, your relationships prior to actually meeting your husband. Don't just go outside and live your best life in your 20s and have the greatest time in the world and then neglectfully bring children into the world by men you don't intend to stick with and then expect that another man is supposed to come in and take responsibility of your past mistakes. So those are things that I think he's trying to get across to these young women, so that they can, make wise decisions and ultimately hopefully get what they want, in a partner and a mate. And so this is just a matter of being considerate of the partner you're seeking to take on and making sure that you guys really have a good game plan to make your relationship work. That is my take on today's clip. I thank you all for joining us. I encourage you to subscribe and join the conversation as there'll be a lot more fruitful material like this. Have a good one.